Cool beans. Wow, that's our kind of semi-new opening. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Lottie dee da, motherfuckers. Hope we're having a good
Wow.
time.
Language.
Hey, shit
Language.
sticks. Let's go. Right? Isn't that
What is wrong with you,
that's the
man?
cool thing? No, we gotta be aggressive now. I was reading up, and we have to be controversial and aggressive in order to get people on. So
Well, we've definitely got controversy tonight.
that's it. And kiss this.
Mm-hmm.
Kiss my butt. Kiss that. I went to I don't think any of you guys were there, but I went last year for my birthday. I went to a magic show and they asked me to draw something live on the stage. And the guy was like, "Did you draw number one?" And I said, "Yeah," but I said it's in a butt. Like that, and I showed it, and I was so proud of myself. And I giggled and ran off the stage. Yeah, and
You
Maria was
giggled
like,
and ran off the stage.
Maria was like, I was not shocked at all with any of that. I was like, all right, good. I'm glad you weren't shocked with any of that because it's pretty much who I am. It's who I am. Let's see. Speaking of who I am, let's see if we got some people in here in his house popping up in the
Yep.
chat.
I'm
The
gonna
chitty
start
chat.
sound with the righteous link.
Uh-oh, mom and dad are on. Everybody say hi to my mom and dad.
Hi.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hey, mom and dad. Hey, mom and dad.
And happy belated birthday and happy Father's Day to you, Mr. Donald McKinney II.
Yeah, technically he is the second, but technically he's also the first, which is it's an interesting conundrum he's put himself in, because my grandfather didn't have a middle name, so technically he's the first with a middle name, but he's the second if you count him without a middle name.
So is he a Dwayne as well?
My grandfather is not, but my father is. Yes.
Your dad. Your dad's a Dwayne.
Yes. Yeah. So that would technically also, on a technicality, make me a junior, but I'm a third. I'm my own grandpa.
So now
That's a lot.
you will continue the tradition of the four.
Slap in your
right?
face. Oh wait, what?
When you have a son, you will be DMAC 4, right?
Well,
DMAC
here's
4.
my plan. At some point, you see, I lived a free life in my 30s. So at some point, probably by the time in my late 40s to early 50s, there's going to be some child that comes knocking on my door, and they're going to be in their late teens, early 20s, and they're going to say, Pop, Dad, is that you? I'm your son. You remember you had relations with this lady? And I'll be like, okay. And then I'll be like, well, what's your name? And he'll be like, oh, it's like Jason or something. I'll be like, not anymore, fucker. And there we go.
So you'll march him straight to the county clerk's office and change his name.
Hell yeah, you just grab his ear and drag him there. That's the the plan.
But what if he's like, but Papa, I like my name, Tiberius or something.
I don't
like that.
care.
Then what?
I don't give shit. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I gotta think about my legacy.
That's true. That is important. And that's why Bonnie had a daughter. She would name her Bonnie II.
I would not. No.
You wouldn't.
No.
How come?
No. I was
think you
never particularly fond of my name.
Hey, what's up,
Really?
Frank?
I mean, I accept it now because obviously it's my name. And I don't know what else I would go by.
Mm-hmm.
There was a brief period when I was younger where I tried going by my middle name, and that didn't last long because it's Elizabeth, and people kept calling me Lizzie. I'm like, no, I don't want Lizzie. Don't shorten it. It's just never mind. Let's just forget it.
The part they like Lizzie Borden or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it didn't work. So yeah.
But you're in a better spot though.
Well, no, I accept my name now, but it's still like not my most favorite. No.
I
wouldn't name a daughter after
Kevin,
myself.
all of this shit could just like be avoided, and I hate to get the cart before the horse, but it just feels like a perfect segue. But all of this could be avoided if you just pulled out. What can I say? When the timing calls for it, I have to do it. Whether it's before our names are even mentioned on the show, it's just the way it is. Sometimes you have to pull out sooner than you would like, but it's important, right? I mean, am I right?
Yes, yes,
I'm right.
it is.
There we go. Okay. So I have one book in order to keep this a quick one because we all wanted a nice quickie tonight. It's another reference. Look at me. I'm on a roll. This is great.
Oh my goodness.
We have Greg Pak's written Lawful from Boom Studios. And it's all about when you do something unlawful, wicked, not cool to somebody else, whether they're there or not. They're all within a domed, like kind of a magic city. And so they slowly start to turn into monsters. So the ones that have fully been pieces of shit their whole lives are complete monsters, and they live like in the water down below. And all the like normal, semi-normal people like that have done a few wrong things, that maybe have horns or tails or something, they live along the mostly normal people that have never done a wrong thing in their lives. And that's where we bring in the character of Sung and the character of, what was her name? I want to say it was, what was it? It was Eris. So Sung's the boy that does no wrong, and Eris is the girl that's rather naughty. And he's been trying to be good his whole life so he can get a job with the lawful community. And within that lawful community, you are part of a guild that basically allows or denies people to be re-reviewed. If you're not re-reviewed, you're outcast from the city immediately because you've been too naughty, and they want you out before you turn fully into a monster. But if you're pretty lawful and you're pretty good, and you may have done one or two things wrong, they will put you in the review section and to where you will be reviewed. Well, Sung happens to be straight arrowed almost his entire life, gets the job, and then his first person he has to review, guess what? Eris. Does Sung do the right thing? And by right thing, I mean just thing, and has her exiled? Or does he perhaps do the naughty thing because she's his friend and allows her to go back for review again? And what happens to him if that were to happen? And what happens to her if that were to happen? So that's what we're going with this Lawful #1. It's pretty good. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think if you have the extra smackaroonies, the $4.99 in tax, so $5.50 if you live in LA, because they're whores for tax money here. $5.50 if you live in LA. If you have the extra $5.50, don't get a sandwich, get Lawful. And you can
don't get a sandwich. Don't eat.
You can live off wisdom and knowledge.
Don't get a Starbucks.
Yeah, skip the coffee, bitch. Get yourself a book. Motherfucker, right, Kevin? We got to be controversial.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Kevin's going to say a couple words later, and they're all controversial. He's just going to say one after the other, culminating with the most controversial word of all.
And what's that most controversial word?
What's the most controversial word?
I think it starts with the letter C.
Does it?
Yes, ends with a T.
Can't?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Couldn't.
No.
Cat.
Like,
I hate cats.
No,
yeah, you're right.
That's not...
Allergic to them little suckers.
I feel like they use that far too often in like England for it to be controversial.
Well, on The Boys, what's his name uses it a lot. That's true.
Yeah, he's kind of desensitized it to everybody.
A little bit.
Like if he started saying twat instead, I feel like, they did that on Rescue Me with Dennis Leary, where they switched them. They said twant and quat, and those were the two phrases that they used a lot. And I felt like twant was a little better than quat,
Just a little.
You're a twant. Mm-hmm. You'd be like, what? If you're a quat, they'd be like, a kumquat? I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, the relationship's not there. But anyway, yeah, 6.5, and that's it. I pulled out on all y'all. Can't blame me. So Sammy says it's terrifying that there could be little Donalds out there.
Yeah, why would it be terrifying?
I don't know. What's terrifying is Bonnie
I'm sure it'd be...
giving me this idea. Yeah, it's your fault. that I was like, I'm going to have a root beer. And she's like, you know what's better than regular root beer? I said, what? Root beer with peanut butter whiskey in it. And I was like, Bonnie, I don't know if I have any. And she says, yes, you do. I was over there and you had it in the second drawer from the left. And it was in this bottle. And I was like, Jesus, okay. Drink much, right? Yeah. And then I was like, but I always make this other drink where I use what was it? It's a hard brewed, cold brew Jaeger with the coffee mixed in with it, and then I mix that with a Myers dark rum with the root beer. And you were like, yeah, you could do that too. The dark rum is off to the left, first shelf up in the second cupboard. And I was like, Jesus, Bonnie, I know where it's at. I can get it. And she's, oh, okay. So this is what I have now. This is her. This is on her. This is her fault. So if something happens to me, Bonnie did this. So let's try, since my palate is cleansed, we're going to try the peanut butter one first, I think, since this is the one that Bonnie was pushing me for. So let's try it. Here we go. Ready? Peanut butter on the left.
On the left.
I don't hate it, but I do feel like the notes of peanut butter are fighting with the root beer flavor. Like they're not complementing, they're clashing, if that makes sense.
Uh-oh.
You taste one.
That's fair.
You taste the peanut butter first, and then it hits you with the root beer on the tail. And I don't feel like they completely work together. So I don't know about that one, Bonnie. I think that might be a miss. But
it sounded good in my head.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. Let's try the hit of the evening, or at least it has been in the past. Although I accidentally poured too much Jaeger in this one. Because something like like there was like one of the birds was at the door, was tapping, and I answered, and he's like, more seed, motherfucker, like that, and I was like, Jesus, okay. So I had to go get more seed, and in paying attention, I had these are starling like little finches. They're bullies. They come in, and knock on the door all the time.
Those North Hollywood birds, man.
What kind of birds were they?
Yeah, that just hits. So you have the tang of the root beer, right? And then it hits you immediately with the dark rum, but the dark rum is blended in with the Jaeger cold brew, so it's like just like a cold brew spiced dark rum. And then you still can taste the root beer flavor with it. And like this works really well. This is a hit. And I'm drunk. No. What are we talking about today? What are we talking about? Kevin, introduce people. Jesus.
Yes, I finally got a chance. Welcome, everyone, to the most disturbing, most controversial, most disgusting live stream tonight.
Jesus.
It is Rumble Pop.
I feel like you're misrepresenting us here.
I'm going to quickly introduce to you. Oh, well. My co-host and co-conspirators first, the madman. The man who's getting drunk off root beer. The man who's wearing that Evil Dead hat. That man who's wearing the blue headset. He, for some strange reason, was voted the most handsome man in North Hollywood, California. He is a man that, for reasons unknown to me, has undergarments thrown his way. He is the original God.
Now maybe I'm not the only one. Is Kevin kind of digitized off and on? Does he look like he's turned into something?
A little bit there, yeah.
Almost like he's become fuzzy because he's become so controversial that the internet has decided to slightly blur him so you can't see his face.
That is exactly what's going on.
Face.
You are on the dark web.
That's what's
now,
happening.
Kevin. You have switched over and you are on the dark web, sir. And I don't mean because you're black. Jesus, people, it's not a race thing. The dark web is more of a perversion thing. So if anything, he's a pervert. He's not a racist.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to help clarify.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Next, we go to a fine young lady who comes from that beautiful northeasternest of states, Maine. A state that Stephen King roams in, and many of his stories have come from and terrified many people. A lady who has such extensive knowledge of Disney that it will shock you. She knows everything from Steamboat Willie to Inside Out 2. Give it up for, once again, the lady, the tantalizing Miss Tracy.
Okay, enough of that, Rain.
And next,
I just thought it fit.
and last but not least, a fine young lady from that beautiful Grand Canyon state of Arizona. A lady who lives the Cobra Kai lifestyle. If you mess with her, if you cross this young lady, don't be fooled by her lovely violet hair, because she will break your arm and snap it in two. She is one of the greatest top 10 dancers on the west coast of the United States. She is an excellent Polynesian dancer, an excellent cat mother. She is the Hot Topic Executive of the Year. Give it up for Miss Bonnie Tuttle.
Thank you.
Wow. Jeez, that's a lot.
And of course, I'm your humble servant, your humble podcaster, the Grand Master of the Jedi, and Vulcan Arts, your Supreme Chancellor, Brother Kevin.
I have no idea how he always does that.
I don't know, it's amazing.
Just try.
Tonight-
I mean, like, if you just Brother Kevin. See, it didn't do it for me. Brother Kevin. Brother Bonnie, try it. Brother Kevin.
Brother Kevin.
Nothing. Yeah. Kevin, say it again. Brother Kevin.
Your Supreme Chancellor, Brother Kevin.
What the What?
The Force.
It's just because it's him.
It's because it's me. The Force is strong with me. The Force is strong with me.
Okay. It's weird, but all right.
Tonight, brothers and sisters, we're going to discuss a very interesting topic. Shocking, disturbing films of the past 30, 40 years. Things that have shocked us. Things that have prevented us from sleeping at night. Bonnie, it was telling me that there was a movie that she saw. She wasn't able to sleep for 3 consecutive nights because it disturbed her so much.
Damn.
Donald started taking pills
Lactating.
because he's seen certain movies because it shocked him so much. Tracy, in certain instances, was sent over the edge because of certain films. And even I myself was so disturbed that I was catatonic for 3 consecutive hours after watching one of these movies. So shocking.
That's it?
So sad.
Just 3 hours?
Yeah, just 3 hours. That's all I needed.
I remember when Ephraim one time was in the movies at ArcLight and he fell asleep and they didn't see him in there and they closed the theater down, set the alarm, and locked everything up.
Oh no.
And he woke up and it was pitch black and he didn't know where he was at first and then realized he'd fallen asleep in the theater and then couldn't see to get down the stairs. Had to basically like step himself down the stairs and then kind of just like feel the wall out to the hallway and then he was able to see to get down the stairs. But that would be pretty frightening.
That's sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah. And then imagine there's like, Kevin wakes up too while you're in there and he's in another theater. And you can hear him going, "What's going on? Oh my God, brother. Oh my, oh." And then you're like, "Holy shit. Someone's here to kill me."
Yes. But I tell you what, I would be one of the survivors of this horror movie, that's for sure. I wouldn't
Good
be going out
Lord.
like that easily.
Okay, so on my side, it sounds like you're talking like this. Am I wrong? Is that sounding that way to you
Really?
guys?
Yeah.
Does he? So maybe we just pepper you in a little bit since your internet's taking a fart class today.
Do you want me to leave and come back in?
No, God, I
No,
don't need
do it.
to make you
Okay.
put a wig on to look like Tracy, so I don't have to swap out names.
Okay.
And Kevin,
Okay.
or Tracy, I don't know what. I see, I'm already calling Tracy Kevin. I don't know what you would do to look more like Kevin. Well, I mean, I know what you could do, but it would get us in a lot of trouble. So we're not going to do
Right.
that. So don't even try.
You want to
Although, hey, wait, hang on. I found something. Hang on. I don't know
Uh-oh.
if you guys saw it earlier today, but check this shit.
Oh,
I
this is gonna
I
be her.
Oh God! It's so.
Oh, the
is
Mod
that?
Squad.
It's so.
The Mod Squad. It's the Mod Squad.
That is pretty bad.
I was like, oh no.
Wow.
What were you doing? It's 1969, so yeah, sure. But good Lord.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, how much for this? The guy's like, $4. It's like, sold! Anyway.
Oh,
Moving on. We're talking about controversy. Apropos, if I would say so myself. Good Lord. We're speaking controversy. We're speaking to the choir here. Before that, let's do some quick comments. I'm sorry, Kevin. Did you eat some of Donald's special candy? So she's seen it too. Don't blame Bonnie for your insanity. Yeah, whatever.
It's
and
funny.
David,
My internet connection's good. I don't know
David
why
Phelps
you
is on. He goes, yes. Yes, as in like, he's like, I'll get my ass whipped. I guarantee it. Oh man. Okay. So we've got this lawful book. I'm putting that away. All right. Now let's talk some of these movies. Who wants to go first? Anybody? Raise your hand.
Bonnie or
I think
Tracy?
I swore I saw Bonnie's hand raised. So okay, we'll go with Bonnie.
It's enough.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
I will go first then. And yeah, we're gonna go with The Exorcist. Why not?
What?
Starting off with The Exorcist.
I don't have that.
You should. It was on my list.
You
It's
should.
there.
It's on the list.
It's there. It's in the email.
Yeah.
Is it the? Is it under the? Oh, god damn you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
All right. Oh, it's on loop of just
About alphabetized
puking.
by the last week.
Oh man, it's just this girl puking on loop. What are you doing? Well, who asked for this?
There's two.
I hope no one's eating dinner. Dad, I hope you ate. This is just chick vomiting. It looks like, I'm going to be realistic, it looks like she's vomiting all over you, Kevin.
Yeah, she actually
Let me
is.
get closer to you. There we go. No. Yeah, that's how you get away from it. But now you're right back in it. Just look this way. And nope the other way. And open your mouth. Yeah. That's right. Okay. Filled with pea soup. I guess that's how you get your nutrients. You got baby birded. All right, so why is this so well, I think we kind of know already, but keep going there, Bonnie.
I mean, yeah, we kind of know. I mean, it was very controversial at the time. Of course, it's quite disturbing. It's the one horror movie that keeps a lot of people up at night the first time they see it. The first time I saw it, I think I was 15, 16 years old in high school. I waited. But, yeah, poor little Reagan gets possessed by a demon, by the devil, and a whole bunch of awful stuff happens to her afterwards, and the exorcist tries to come and exorcise the demon out, and a whole bunch of awful shit keeps on happening. And
The crucifix scene is disturbing.
yeah, very much so. And I don't know if we can describe it. I don't know if I want to describe it.
That's okay.
Well,
I think we're really describing it well with this on loop video here. I mean, she's covered at this point with it. This is all over.
Yeah.
I mean, I realized it was like a tube on the side of her face that kind of spurted it out. She had to be like completely soaked. Like, and this, they probably were like, "Oh, cut. Let's try again," and she'd have to go get cleaned off or something, or they would maybe even just like, I guess, yeah, they would have to clean her off completely and get a different outfit and clean the bed sheets and everything. She probably underneath it's still sopping wet, and she just lay down in this cold, wet, chunky pea soup.
Grueling, shooting, like, filming everything that she had to film with the pea soup. And then the
all right,
mechanics they had her on the bed to flop and flail around.
All right, I'm gonna put up the picture. Oh, this isn't way better. Way better. At least she's not puking up pea soup or vomit or whatever it was. Oh God, I can only imagine the burning sensation with that bile that's coming up. Oh
God.
I hate that. I had the worst acid indigestion of my life a couple weeks ago, or I think it was like last weekend, and it was just god awful. Like I didn't have any Tums, and the only thing that was going to help was like Tums. And I had taken a stomach pill, and I was just driving down the road, just beating it home, trying to get home, because I just kept, every time I would burp, the acid would creep up and it would just burn all the way up, and then I'd drink a little water to push it back down, and then a minute later burp and back up, and I was like, this is what hell was like this is legit what hell was like. Not a fan. So I'm sorry to her. I feel bad. She probably got some problems now.
Probably.
Yeah, besides being possessed by Satan. Mr. Sean says, that is a terrific issue of Mad. I bought it when it came out. Don, you don't know the Mod Squad? It ran for like 5 years. No, Mr. Sean. The reason why I'm pointing it out is because Alfred E. Newman is in blackface. Not because I don't know what the Mod Squad is. It's just because he chose for himself to be the black character. So that now, interestingly enough, regardless of what you want or anybody else, it is now controversial, which is why I showed it, because today's about gross outs and controversy and things like that. And it just fit with the rhetoric, so to speak. Sammy says, for the love of Pete, Donald, I just spent a day with kids. Also, the vomit worked for you? I got another one with boogers, so hang tight. And we should talk about garbage pail kids, too.
Oh, yeah, they were gross.
Oh, my God, when they did that live action film, it was so bad. And then the one
I haven't seen it in so long.
The one with all the pimples and shit, with like the pustule, nasty. Like, they took the worst ones and used them. And they used midgets, little people. The hell do you say anymore?
Dwarfs? Would it be dwarfs?
I don't think you're supposed to say that either.
Little people. You can still say little people.
You can? Because that seems like, yeah. I think that sounds more offensive than a midget.
I do too, but yeah.
You're just a little person. I'd be like,
so do you call giants like big people? Like really big people?
I guess.
More like tall, large people?
Yeah, or you call them a giant. Boy, you're a giant. And they probably get offended by that. You can't just say anything anymore is the rule of thumb. Don't say anything. Just say, wow, you're a person, aren't you? Look at you. All persons.
Hey, look, there you are.
Yep, that's what you can do. And then you go home immediately after taking 7 photos without their consent and show them to people and be like, check out this midget. Oh, my God. You know. I'm not saying I do it. No.
Right,
no.
Donald. Sure.
I'm not saying I do that. I'm saying Kevin does.
Know. It seems like something you would do, Donald.
Just throw him under the bus. Not myself. Come on.
Of course.
Of course. All right, moving on. All right, so any other comments on this Exorcist? I think we've exercised enough about the Exorcist, I believe.
Tracy, what about you? What do you got?
Let's start with I Saw the Devil.
Uh-oh.
Isn't this recent? Right?
2010. But, it was released in Korea in 2010, so,
okay, so I'm going to show the harsh one first, and then I'm going to switch over to the lighter one.
Okay.
This guy's getting screw-drived.
Yeah, this is a crazy movie. It's made by the same person that did Oldboy, so as you can imagine, it's a little messed up. I don't know, Koreans, for whatever reason, sometimes I think they just take it out on the movie. Like, they're really nice people, but at the same time, like, they just channel all this weird, like, shit into movies. Yeah. Anyway, so this movie is about a woman who gets murdered, and her husband is like a cop of some kind, like an FBI agent, if you will, and he wants to get revenge for her murder, and so then he goes and he searches for the murderer, finds out who it is, and then proceeds to attack him, and then, like, forces him to swallow a tracker, and then proceeds to torture him until he dies.
Wow.
So fucked up. Because right when you think, like, okay, this is the moment where, like, he's going to kill the guy, no, absolutely not. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
He draws it out.
Yeah. He wants to torture him as much as possible because he didn't just, like, kill the wife. He, like, decapitated her, like just dismembered her body. It was a whole thing.
Well, if anything, we should be cheering him on, right?
Oh yeah.
He's delivering righteous justice.
Jesus.
Oh,
Kevin.
it's like the vigilante movies to end all vigilante movies. Because yeah, it's a little intense. A little intense, but yeah, he deserves everything he gets. I mean, at the end, you're like not sure if you feel bad for the guy or if you are rooting the other guy on. It's like a weird, it like kind of messes with your mind, which is why, despite the content, also it kind of just fucks with you. So, which is why I put it on the list.
Okay.
But yeah,
And it's
really
the same,
good.
same guy that did Old Boy, huh?
Yeah, and it stars Choi Min-sik, who was in Old Boy and is like such a great actor as a villain. He
I heard he
plays
can make you
the
sick.
murderer. Wow.
Oh, John.
Oh, Donald. But yeah, so if anyone's seen Old Boy, you can only imagine what this movie is like.
Josh Brolin's supposed to play the lead in a Made for America film version.
I've seen both versions. They're both messed up.
Oh,
and
yeah?
yes, Josh Brolin. It's Josh Brolin and Elizabeth Olsen in the American one.
Yeah, and we're talking Old Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've seen it, I want to say. I think it was at ArcLight at the time when it came out. So I'm pretty sure I've seen it. It's just forgetful. Like, it's forgettable. It's a forgettable film if you've seen the original. The original's great. Fantastic. Moving on from I Saw the Devil. Kevin, you got one?
Sir, my first one, I'm going to hit it right out the park right now. Darren Aronofsky's second film and possibly his best film ever and most powerful and disturbing film, Requiem for a Dream.
I know why you chose this. You better have that scene in here. I'm going to be so pissed.
No, I can't do that one. If I do that one, we're ready to get banned from YouTube.
None of these work. They're not a format I can use. So no photo for this one, guys.
Are you serious? The
Yes.
JPEG's not working?
There's no JPEG. It's JFIF for both of them.
That's weird. All right. Well, what I'll do is...
Well, I'll just show a photo of a dildo, and everybody will understand exactly what's going on.
Fine. I will put it on my screen then, if you can see it in the background.
Oh, this one's great. I'll just show this one. Let's see if I can get this photo here.
But in any case, this movie is based on a novel from Hubert Selby Jr. Movie takes place in Brooklyn, and it stars Jared Leto, Ellen Burstyn, Jennifer Connelly, and Marlon Wayans. They're the four primary characters. And essentially, all four of these characters are fighting addiction, basically some type of drug addiction. And what you're seeing is just a very slow descent into deeper addiction, into madness, into sadness, into depression. This is a very, very difficult movie to watch. This is like maybe once in a decade movie you can watch. You can watch it, and then you maybe want to watch it again, but I would wait 10 years to watch it again if you want to, because it's rough. It's rough. It is rough. Also, this movie is where that famous trailer music song comes from the Kronos Quartet. It goes like, you know, you probably heard it in so many movie trailers, but this to me is a movie I actually would advocate the show to high schoolers and middle schoolers, believe it or not. Even though this movie is technically NC-17 or unrated.
Oh my god! Oh, I brought up the largest dildo photo you've ever seen in your life. There we go. There's Requiem for a Dream right there, in a nutshell. That's what Kevin loves about this film, pervert.
Jeez.
All right, took it down.
But this is something I would show to young people. Oh my god, you really did that.
That was the biggest dildo you've ever seen.
Why? Are you trying to get us off the air? Are you trying to get us off the air, man? Are you crazy? Wow. Well, if you can see the photos behind me.
Boom! Sorry, Mom.
Sorry. So sorry, Mrs. McKinney.
I can't believe you really did that. Well, in any case.
He's your son. You deal with him.
Wow. In any case, This is a very powerful film. I would show this, like I said, to high schoolers and middle schoolers and certainly college kids for sure. Because if you were thinking about doing drugs after you watch this movie, you'll second guess yourself and third guess yourself on, should I try that heroin? Should I try?
You'll have a third time that you'll guess. Should I try the heroin or not? I've asked twice, and I'm just not sure.
Should I try, diet pills? Like Ellen Burstyn's character, who plays Jared Leto's mom in the movie, it's so sad.
Who?
She's the one
Ellen
character,
who?
Ellen Burstyn, who, interestingly enough, was the mom in The Exorcist.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah, she did get an Academy Award nomination for this movie.
No
and
shit.
Then another movie on my list too.
Yeah, and I mean, her character is the one I feel sorry for the most. I don't feel sorry for Marlon Wayans, Jennifer Connelly, or Jared Leto's character because they kind of knew what they're getting themselves into. Ellen Burstyn is just like, she's lonely. Her son, played by Jared Leto, takes advantage of her, steals from her, steals her TV. I mean, it's just sad, to keep that drug addiction going, and it's just so sad to see her descent, and your heart just goes out to that character. And yes, there is a famous scene that people like to make fun of. What was it, mouth to mouth, ass to ass, something like that. Yeah, that's what it was. Yes, that scene's in the movie too. That involves Jennifer Connelly because she basically sells her body for drugs, essentially. And again, just very sad. Like, the way the movie ends is just, there's no going back. It's just all four of these characters just meet a very unfortunate, dark fate. Powerful film. If I ever had kids, I would show them this movie when they were old enough, like they were like 15 or something like that, 14, 15, just to show them, hey kids, this is what could happen. This would happen if you get yourself caught up in drugs. Like this is like the perfect anti-drug message movie if there ever was one. If any of you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, yep, that's it. Requiem for a Dream. One of the greatest films of the 21st century, in my humble opinion. And yes, Mr. Sean Beguine, I did forget to mention that a couple weeks ago, Roger Corman passing. He was one of the legendary independent filmmakers. And yes, he does deserve his flowers, literally now.
But we don't always talk about people being dead on the show either. That's not.
Yes, that's true.
Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't, because it's a bit of a downer, but also, sometimes it doesn't fit the content, Like, today we have our favorite comedies, and by the way, Roger Corman died. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't, it doesn't always fit in with the programming, interestingly enough. But we do when we do our year in review and stuff like that, we talk about the people that have passed and stuff and what they meant to us. And if it does kind of work and blend in well with the topic and stuff, we can and will bring it up. Absolutely, 100%. And this actually, Sean, does fit with the topic as far as controversy, because Corman has had his fair share of controversial films in the past. Definitely. Speaking of which, we've got Big Sal says to Kevin, ass to ass.
There you go.
And let's see. Cage says, Donald, the only thing you talk about is dead babies. How many times have I mentioned dead babies?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned dead babies very often.
Maybe I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember once even. Maybe once, but in passing.
During the apocalyptic movie.
Yeah, maybe I mentioned dead babies during that.
Yeah, you're very upset that there were not more dead babies.
That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I don't mention it in every show, right? I mean, I just mentioned it now, but you brought it up, so that's fair. It's fair game now. Dead babies are fair game because you brought it up. Not me. You brought it up. I don't need to work on my empathy, Sean. I'm very empathetic towards people and towards things. So thank you for that, but no thank you. I think I do a good job. Moving on. It's going to be mine next to be talking about. And that is going to be... Oh, boy. I first found out about this film when I went to a bar. There used to be a bar that I could walk to down the street from where I live. Currently now. And I used to be able to walk to it, and it was a great bar. It no longer exists, sadly. It has now turned into a what you would call a millennial bar, where they have cassette tapes up on the wall and they charge tax on the beer. So it's not my kind of place anymore, and I don't go there. I went there once just to get ignored for a half an hour while I was trying to get a drink. So I was like, this really isn't my spot. I can't Karen out in here. I don't feel the need, and it's not necessary. So I walked to another bar because there's more than one within walking distance. But anyway, I digress. So when I was going to this bar, and this bar was amazing at the time, they would play movies like every now and again. And one of them was this film. And I didn't want to have dinner after I watched bits and pieces of this film because it was so freaking nasty gross. I just couldn't. And I'm going to write it first in here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But it is a kung fu film, if I think you can call it that, right? Or a Hong Kong film. And it is Riki-Oh, the story of Ricky. Because if you didn't know Riki-Oh, you would know that it's the story of Riki-Oh. You know? I don't know. Like, I feel like they didn't need it twice. It's a 1991 Hong Kong martial arts, what they call a splatter film. And boy, oh boy, is it a splatter film. Just to give you a little brief mention of the plot, it's in 2001 when all prisons have been privatized. We're not far off from this, guys. Super strong and durable Riki-Ho is sent to one for manslaughter, I think it's Riki-Oh, after killing a crime boss responsible for his girlfriend's death. The prison is divided by cardinal directions, with each wing having a member of Gang of Four ruling over it. Ricky is placed in the north ring, where he witnesses an inmate named Samuel disfigure an elderly inmate. Ricky partially blinds him, so he pays obese inmate Mad Dragon to kill Ricky, while the disfigured inmate commits suicide after Samuel stops his probation from clearing. Mad Dragon attacks him in the shower, but Ricky kills him and Samuel. So this just shows there's a lot of vengeance, a lot of killing, a lot of nastiness. It came to the point where, if I recall, one of the characters like somehow became a puppetized version of himself, in which he was then thrown into a meat grinder of some sort, and each part of his body then was seen being ground up from the legs down to the head, being ground completely in, and then they would show the meat and blood kind of spurting out the side the entire freaking time. They just didn't show one part and go, okay, that's enough. They showed the whole goddamn thing. They kept going back to it. Like, oh, meanwhile, this guy's still getting ground up. There comes more blood, and he's just getting ground up and stuff. Let me tell you, for somebody like myself that's worked in the restaurant industry for many, 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 many years, it is disgusting to think about just Hamburg being ground up, like in seeing what that looks like on the floor, or, like, you would go to, like, what would it be? Like a meat place, like a meat department, or just like a local deli or something. And then, you remember, like, they would wear the white apron and there would always be blood all over the apron, and you'd be like, what the hell, are they murdering somebody back there? It's because, like, the meat still continues to have blood in it, and when you're packaging it and stuff, you get it all over you, and then you just go like that on your apron and just wipe it, or a towel, or if you just casually scratch your shoulder or something, oh shit, I got blood everywhere. It's gross, right? Like, nobody wants to see that on film and then go, oh, maybe I'll go get a cheeseburger. It's just not something you want to do. So it's, it's really terrible, Sean. It's an awful, awful film. There's some cool martial arts in it, don't get me wrong, but for me, it's not worth it because there's just too much gore and too much disgusting things that take place. And it is supposed to be, I think, done in a manner that is, what would you say? It's too big for itself. It's just almost silly, is what they try to come off at, like with Evil Dead 2. Where the wall bursts blood and stuff like that, right? It comes off as like more silly, so it's supposed to desensitize you from the gore. But if somehow with this film, it doesn't work, and it still gores, and it's still nasty, and it just, I don't recommend watching it. So, but if you want to, if you're a Splatterfest person, this is right up your alley. I'm sure Big Sal has seen this film. Sal, what do you think about it? And when we get your thoughts here, we're going to, in the meantime, read a few comments, if we have any. Cage is laughing. Big Sal says, person turquoise waving. What? I think maybe he has an update. I don't. Or I have an update. He does it. It's one or the other. And then, Sean says it sounds morally edifying. And, it's not pretty. So there we go. That's Ricky O, the story of Ricky. Good stuff. Next.
Back to Bonnie.
Okay, I'm just gonna go in order of my list. So next up is Hard Candy.
Oh yeah, that's Patrick Wilson.
It does have Patrick
Wilson, Ellen Page,
and Elliot.
Elliot.
Yeah.
Well, back then, Ellen Page.
Who would have thought
he was presenting as Ellen? But yes.
Yeah, who would have thought you needed Patrick Wilson to make Jason Momoa so much better? Because
Good point.
Aquaman 2 wasn't good until Jason Patrick showed up, and then they play off each other so perfectly.
Patrick Wilson.
That's what I said.
You said Patrick.
Did I? Oh my God. Sorry, Jason Patrick. Patrick Wilson. Well, he would be great too, and I think he would elevate him also. But Patrick Wilson, yeah, you would need Patrick Wilson to do that, and that's surprising to me because when Patrick Wilson first came on the scene, I didn't have as much appreciation for him as I do now. I always saw him as that fill-in white guy. Oh, they needed a generic white guy. There's Patrick Wilson, But now I see him, he's much more layered. I think he's a better actor than we've ever given him credit for. At least I have, anyway. So my apologies, Patrick Wilson. And to Jason Patrick, too, because I'm sure you're still doing a great job. Anyway, Hard Candy, go ahead.
On that note, yes. So talk about Hard Candy and why it's so controversial and disturbing. I mean, anytime you're dealing with anything having to do with child predators, it's going to be disturbing. And the whole setup of this movie is that Patrick Wilson is a child predator who meets this young teenage girl online and decide, they arrange to meet up. And this whole time you're thinking that you're going to see this, dude in his 30s prey on this young girl in her early teens. What is she, 14, 15?
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of takes a turn, and you come to find out that this young teenage girl has actually lured and entrapped him, and then ties him up and, tortures him and does all this, horrible stuff to him because obviously he's a child predator and you want to do bad things to them. And it's a twisted story of torture and revenge and justice and all these things. And it's you want to feel a little bit of sympathy for the guy because it's like, oh my God, these horrible things are happening to him. But then on the flip side, you're like, wait, but no, he's a predator. He had very much ill intent towards this young girl, and she's beating the shit out of him. No, fuck this guy. It's a really interesting story that kind of it makes you think a little bit, Because again, you want to feel sympathy for him because, oh my God, these bad things are happening. But no, he's a bad person. We cannot feel sympathy for a bad person. It's just, it's a crazy movie.
It is an interesting film to say the least, as far as how they flip the script. I found it to be somewhat disturbing, but I feel like this has happened in real life too. You know what I mean? So it's like a double thing. You feel like it could, or it has.
That's part of what makes
happened.
It so disturbing.
Yeah,
is because that situations like this are happening every day somewhere. And that's what's so frightening and just gives you the ick about it.
100%. Let's see. Tracy, what do you have?
Let's go with An American Crime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This came out in 2007, huh?
2007, starring Catherine Keener and Elliot Page. So I guess an Elliot Page twofer is what we're doing here.
Oh my God.
Back then,
Really?
Ellen Page. And this movie is based off of a real story, and the real story is like 100,000,000 times percent more fucked up than this movie, and this movie is pretty like disturbing. It's based, huh?
It's really bad.
It's really bad. Like and it's basically about this teenage girl named Sylvia Likens, who is entrusted by the mother. It's her and her little sister, and they're kind of, I mean, I'm going to say it, pawned off on this lady who's like a single mom, and the parents say, oh, we're going to pay you to watch our kids while we're like carnival people, and they don't pay. So then Catherine Keener is like overwhelmed already just by motherhood and doesn't want to be a mom, and takes out all of her aggression. Yeah, and like takes out all of her aggression on Sylvia and tortures her, and really messed up things happen, like stuff involving a Coke bottle. Like it's really bad. And then on top of that, her kids get involved. Her kids join in, and then the neighborhood kids join in torturing this poor girl. So it's kind of it's a weird like peer pressure mob mentality situation, which is almost more disturbing than the actual abuse by the mom. And you think that she makes it at the end because of just the way the movie is, and yeah, she doesn't. But you kind of, if you've never seen the story and you haven't seen the movie, I know, I'm sorry. It's 2007.
I was going to watch it tonight. Forget it now.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
No.
Yeah.
No, actually, I wouldn't. Yeah. Not my jam, man. I don't want to watch people be tormented. I didn't. Yeah. It took me like forever to watch Precious, just because of the shit I knew she was going to go through in that film, and I didn't want to see it. You know, I didn't want to see it.
Yeah, I have a hard time. I watched it once and never again.
You know what made me, kind of pushed me to see it? This is messed up. But there was this meme, and it had Precious on a bus. And outside...
With Gollum?
Yeah. Outside of the window had Gollum looking at her.
Yeah.
And I was like, my Precious. And I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something, like, funny with this film, and I should watch it. Nope.
There is not.
No, not at all. No. Nope. No.
Yeah.
No.
But, I mean, I don't know. I've watched some pretty messed up true crime stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this case in particular,
what was
the real one and this movie
that they didn't show in the movie? What was real that they didn't show in the movie? Like that's more effed up.
The torture and the abuse is just more intense in real life as opposed to in the movie.
Like
in
she's
the movie,
taking pieces off of her.
A lot of cigarette burns and stuff like that. And like
on the face or just where you can't see it.
I mean, everywhere, really. I mean, because at some point they stopped letting her go out of the house.
Was the lady, she was mentally imbalanced, the mother, like, diagnosed?
She was like, it was kind of like pushed over the edge. Like, she has too many kids and not enough money, and she tries her hardest, and she's also, I think, a drinker, if I'm not mistaken, and it just, like,
so she sounds like a nice lady that got in over her head and doesn't know what to do, but then something happens, and she snaps. And she only takes it out on this one kid?
Yeah. I think in real life, I feel like in real life, she also takes some of it out on the little sister.
Okay. But how many kids are we talking here?
Like at the very beginning of the movie, she does try to like, whip the little sister too, but then the older says, no, don't, I'll take hers.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's like that point in the movie is where she focused everything on the older sister.
So so she uses this one girl as a punching bag, and she treats everybody else better because she's able to treat this girl like shit. So this girl martyred herself, basically, right? In a way, I don't know if martyr's the correct word. Sacrificed her body. I wouldn't
really say that she treated the other kids better. She was just more indifferent to the other kids.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like just her own kids at some point. So it was like 3 kids, and then the neighborhood kids joined in. So then it was like 6 kids, and then there's like scenes where they're all standing around her, like burning her with cigarettes. And, like,
are you kidding me? So it's not just the mom; it's the kids too.
Oh yeah,
and the neighbor kids.
Well, yeah, because you have to obey your mother. So your mother tells you to take your aggression out on this girl because she wronged you, then you're gonna do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
the case
okay,
is
so
super disturbing, and the movie's super disturbing, and
Yeah.
um,
Like she
yeah,
tells the neighbor boy, "Oh, well, she's gone out with every other boy but you, so you better do this to her because she deserves it because she hasn't gone
yeah,
out with you yet."
this just sounds like a whole place full of rotten children too, though. You know what I mean? Like, even like, I know kids that were beat. I know kids that were treated very, very poorly, and they never paid it forward like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and they became amazing people when they got older. They got therapy. They worked through their issues. They had families of their own. They treated their kids perfectly.
I think it's a little important to also point out, though, this took place in what, 1965?
yeah. It was in the
Yeah,
'60s.
this was in the early mid 60s. So
So what we're saying is
the times were
mid-60s.
slightly different.
So we're talking about people that are at least probably like 60 years old to maybe like 70, 75, 80 are just rotten and they like to beat children. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I'm fairly certain that they all grew up with some kind of like traumatic whatever, but also don't acknowledge that this ever happened. I feel like it's one of those situations where
This
it's
is
like
messed up.
it's super messed up, and I've seen a couple interviews from back like in the trial and stuff, and like from the little sister, and you could tell the little sister is just traumatized for life. Like
There's nothing. There's no
Yeah.
coming back for her. She's like gone.
no coming back. Yeah,
This-
and then
that's the worst part. Is that it's the kids that like. Well, I mean, the worst part is probably the part that the one girl had to endure, of course.
Yeah.
But then like being scarred like that, being forced into situations like that, I'm sure it becomes like a point where it's like you're afraid if you don't do that to your sister, then your mom's going to start pointing at you.
Exactly.
And if your sister's
exactly
already
what
said,
happened.
let
That's
me
exactly
take
what
it,
happens, yeah.
then you would
And,
have to. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, like during the trial scenes, like they're asking the little sister, like you witnessed this happen. You were afraid. Why didn't you run away? Why didn't you call the police? You knew this was happening. You knew this was wrong.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell anybody? And little girl, she's like, well, she said that if I told anybody that I would get in trouble, that she would hurt me, that she would, do all these things to me too.
Right.
So I was afraid.
So
Yeah.
Sean McGean says
There's
this is
that
a
little bit of Stockholm in there.
this is a downer episode. Well, Roger Corman's dead, so there you go, Sean. There you go. You brought this on us. You did this.
Sorry, Sean.
This is all you, buddy. Fucking Roger Corman.
I mean, we're talking disturbing, controversial movies. So.
Oh, Sabrina's at the airport in Utah. Well, we have a disturbing film about a plane. Let me get on that real quick. No, I'm kidding. I don't think we do. I'm pretty sure we don't, Sabrina. Don't worry. Don't worry. Kevin, what's your next one to lighten the mood a little bit?
Well, this movie
It's not
is
rape.
a
What?
1995 classic called Kids.
Oh, hey. Well, that sounds fun. Oh, Kevin,
You know,
you chose this photo and
That's
sent
such a
this
good-
photo
It's
to
gonna be
me.
so bad.
I'm going to post the photo that you sent to me, Kevin. Here you go. That's
Should
your
be the one I
photo.
sent you.
That's definitely one that you sent me. Is this part of the movie? Because I've never seen the movie, but this looks like a porno.
That's one of the that's one of the pictures, but the other one, the main one, is the one behind me.
Two
That-
girls
that-
on a
that
bed.
was
Still looks like a
Yes.
porno. Okay.
it. But basically, this movie came out in 1995. I hypothetically could have potentially been in this movie myself. Growing up in the New York area, I could have been cast as a teenager in this movie. But this movie is the debut of Rosario Dawson and Chloe Sevigny.
What?
As you can see in the picture behind me.
That's awesome.
Yep, they're basically as an independent film. They're casting just kids who had no acting experience, just to basically be kids, be teenagers, and just talk about the very raw, controversial topics that kids do talk about that parents don't want them talking about. That's basically sexual encounters, drugs, violence, things of that nature. So this was a very, very controversial movie when it came out. It was originally rated NC-17, but it got released unrated.
Mm-hmm.
And my very first job was at a movie theater, my original movie theater I used to work at. And ironically, I got to guard the theater, even though technically I wasn't supposed to be watching this movie either. But of course, I was curious to see what this was all about. I was sneaking peek in to see what's happening. Of course,
you would sneak in. You go, oh my god!
Yeah, a little bit.
Have to walk out. Jesus wept.
Yeah,
and then back out again.
A little bit of that.
Yeah.
And this is also like a cautionary tale, much like the previous movie that I discussed, Working for a Dream. So you have a situation, part of the plot is the character named Telly, played by Leo Fitzpatrick. He's obviously HIV infected, but of course he doesn't know it. And you find out that Chloe Sevigny's character and Rosario Dawson's character, they go to a clinic just to get tested for STDs. Mm-hmm. And Rosario Dawson, there's a scene where a bunch of teenage girls are talking about their sexual experiences and whatnot. And Rosario Dawson's character, Ruby, has had multiple partners, where Chloe Sevigny has only had one partner, and that was Telly, and she only did it once, only had sexual encounter just one time in her life. And unfortunately, she finds out the results that she's infected with HIV. Ruby's character comes out, she's fine. She doesn't have any problem. So it just goes to show you the Russian roulette. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Was this produced by like some parenting coalition or something?
It was produced, believe it or not, by Miramax at the time, and when Miramax was owned by Disney. So interesting enough that you mentioned that. The Weinsteins actually had to release the film under a one-time distribution company called Shining Excalibur Films, because Disney didn't want to be associated with it for obvious reasons.
Interesting.
Being like, so they had to kind of like play.
Well, was it
slick
Miramax like a division, so Disney didn't have to be seen as? I don't get it. At that point, did everybody know Miramax was synonymous with Disney?
They knew, but it's just like Disney's policy. Their issue was they didn't want to be involved with a movie that's NC-17 or unrated. Period. That's like. So did
they reap the benefits?
Oh well, the Weinsteins certainly, not Disney, but the Weinsteins did.
Okay, so Disney had no involvement monetarily speaking or any profit seen.
No, basically
they said if you're going to do this, you have to do this independently of Miramax and of Disney.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes,
that makes sense.
They had to create a one-off company called Shining Excalibur Films.
Good for Disney for standing up for that morality, and then underpaying all of their employees at any of their theme parks. I love that. That's great.
Well, that's true. That's true too. And what's interesting
of that is that now that Disney owns Hulu, everything that's on Hulu is on Disney, including Showgirls,
which is NC-17. Yes, very interesting.
So you can conceively
Disney Princess is Elizabeth Berkley
on Disney Plus
from Showgirls. She's a Disney princess. Oh, tits just out. Oh man, I can see it now.
But what's crazy about this film again?
Really? Are we getting more happy stuff?
Yes, more happy stuff. The character Telly, he really is a piece of what. No doubt about it. He does assault young teenage girls as well, and he's a nasty character to say the least. And also he's involved with there's a infamous scene where a bunch of these teenage kids are beating a guy up with skateboards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty rough. Of course, the kids are drinking, smoking weed, talking that good talk, so to speak. But the movie made a lot of money. It was only made for $1.5 million, produced for $1.5 million, and it grossed over $20 million at the box office. So, for an independent film like this, did quite well. Like I said, it launched the careers of Chloe Sevigny and Rosario Dawson. So it's worth a watch. It's also, I would say, an how should I say it? I won't say anti-sex message, but I would say, if anything, I guess it would promote a safe sex message, and also a message of trying not hanging out with the wrong type of kids and whatnot, avoid gangs, things of that nature. But
fornicators,
yes. But it's a powerful film in of itself.
Doesn't sound like my jam, man. I'm gonna pass on this one. This one sounds
that's fine. Not for everybody.
Bummer and a half. Good Lord and gravy. Let's talk about something a little happier. Let's talk about gene splicing. Gene splicing is fun, right?
I don't have anything happy on this episode.
The gene splicing part's great. What are you talking about? Oh, Jesus Christ, you picked a hell of a... Kevin. I was looking for sexy Jeff Goldblum. This is not sexy.
Oh, no.
Talking about...
Oh
Whoa.
God.
Okay. Man, you went dark this time. Kevin, are you okay?
Well, you told me to. You said to me, Kevin.
No, I meant for Ricky Bobby, or Ricky whatever it was, Ricky O. I was like, send me like a couple of
Well,
those.
Look, there's another fly photo I gave you. It's not as bad as this.
There's not? There is? Well, I don't know.
Yes, there is.
Is it under
Look
the
for it.
fly?
Yes.
I don't think it's much better.
I think it is.
Dear mother of God. I mean, Gina Davis is in it, sure. Anyway,
See?
okay, so we're talking about the film The Fly. This came out in 1986. Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis. It is one that I did not catch when it first came out. In fact, I was scared to when I was a kid. And I didn't watch it until probably like within the last 10 years. I've seen The Fly for the first time with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. And it is so good. He does gene splicing technology. Teleportation is what he's trying to do. But it accidentally does a gene splice when he goes to do a human trial and steps into a tube, into the containment unit, and there's a fly inside. And what happens is when they both teleport, they don't teleport separately from themselves, which is the smart thing, actually, is they teleport together into one. So then his genes are then spliced with the fly's. So he becomes basically a human fly. And it's cool at first because he can walk on walls and the ceiling and stuff. But then it starts to suck when he realizes that the only way he can eat his meals is if he spits up his bile and digests it first and then slurps up the liquid, like a fly would do, which is rather disgusting but also awesome to see on the big screen. He also does that to a dude's hand. He becomes very possessive of Gina Davis, who loves him for the man he was but can no longer stand him for the creature he is. It's another tragic Frankenstein-esque film story, but more so I would say tragic in that there was a relationship there. There was love there. Whereas if you look at, Frankenstein, he really didn't have a love back. He loved, but he did not feel that love back because there wasn't a relationship set up prior, so this becomes a more interesting film in that manner of speaking, and a very tragic film. And I think that's probably why I wanted to list it. It is why, but probably why other people would want to list it in, as far as films that are kind of scary or that are kind of controversial, things like that. And The Fly was definitely one of them when it came out in '86. Mr. Sean says, the only one I've seen so far, it's actually a really good movie. Goldblum should have been nominated for an Oscar. 100% agree. He was fantastic in this. He played the nerdy yet scintillating Dr. Scientist. Dr. Scientist is what I like to call him. Very well. He did a very good job. My mom says, I saw the first one, the original. It was scary for me at the time. Didn't see this version. Mom, I feel like you'd really like this film if you could get past the gore, which I don't know that you necessarily could. So it's not going to be one that I'm going to recommend for you. But it is a beautiful film, and it is very well done. So if you did go to watch it, Mom, you should watch it like this. And then that, and then that. And then a little this. And then eventually this. Like that. That's the whole movie. But it came out in 1986. It's very good film, but kind of gross and shocking for sure. But that's The Fly. Anyway, moving on. Bonnie, you got one?
Yes, I do. This one.
I think this is our last one. Our last round
Yes.
for everybody.
I'm not sure how many people will have seen this one, but I'm going for it anyways because the book, at least, is pretty well known. And it is Flowers in the Attic.
Ooh, okay.
The 2014 version. So the book came out in the early 80s, I believe, and then they made a movie out of it in 87. Christy Swanson was in it, the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But I didn't want to talk about the 87 movie because that one cut some pretty big things out of the plot.
Okay,
Of the
that's
book
fair.
that were very important, which were the most controversial and disturbing. The 2014 version, which was actually a Lifetime movie. They did the whole series where they actually did Flowers in the Attic, and then the sequel books, Petals in the Wind, If There Be Thorns, Seeds of Yesterday, and then a couple of prequels that they called the Origins. But the 2014 movie is actually really good. Stars Heather Graham as the mother of 4 young children. Kiernan Shipka is her oldest daughter, Kathy. And then Ellen Bernstein is her mother. She plays the kid's grandmother. And the reason this is a bit disturbing and controversial, the book made a big splash back in the day, is because it deals with a whole lot of child abuse and stories of incest.
Oh, yeah.
So, lots of fun there. But the basic plot is, the mother, Heather Graham's character, she is widowed very early on in the story, and faced with a mountain of debt and all this other, bad stuff that comes along when your world is just flipped upside down like that. She decides to take her kids to her parents' house because her parents are very wealthy and prominent. And she is going to just step up to the doorstep and beg for forgiveness. She had actually been disinherited and disowned by her family. And you come to find out that the reason she was disowned by the family is because her husband, who has now just passed, was actually her half uncle. So he was her father's half brother. And so the grandmother, her mother, is not happy with her returning, especially with 4 kids in tow, because these kids are the product of an incestuous relationship. So she calls them all the spawns of the devil and says, okay, if you're going to stay here in the house with us, if you're going to be part of the family again, and we're going to present you back into society, nobody can know about these kids. So we're going to lock them up in the attic. And she tells the kids, okay, you're going to be up here in the attic, but it's only going to be for a couple of days. It's only going to be until, I can get back in my father's good graces. Then I'll tell you about him. And then that turns into weeks and months and years. Oh, when he's dead, and then what, we have all the money from the inheritance, then we can bring you out. That never happens. And all this time, the kids are growing up. The oldest 2 siblings, brother and sister, they go through puberty. They start having feelings. What do you do with those feelings when there's nobody else around? They end up having an incestuous relationship themselves. And it's a doozy. It is a doozy.
It's like Multiplicity. When you make
a whole bunch
of
of messed up stuff goes on with this story as a whole. Eventually, the kids do manage to get out and escape the family. They go their separate ways. While they're in the attic, though, like the youngest sibling dies because he was eating donuts that were laced with rat poison. So
why were they laced with rat poison?
Because the mother was trying to kill her. She was trying to secretly make the kids sick enough to dispose of. Because she figured, well, if
they're never
if
getting
the kids
out
are
of here,
gone, then nobody ever has to know that they ever existed, and then I'll get
so
to
she
my
hit that
inheritance.
phase.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. A whole
Damn.
bunch of messed up stuff goes on. Later on, like many years go by when they're adults. Kathy, again, the oldest daughter, she wants to take revenge on her mother for essentially killing their youngest sibling. So her mother is remarried at this point to her father's lawyer, and she kind of sneaks back into their lives without her mother knowing about it, and seduces the new husband and gets pregnant by him, and then announces at a big party, hey, what's up, remember me, Mom? The child that you pretend that you don't have? Well, guess what? Thank your husband, and now I'm having his baby.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nezzy,
It just gets
Inez
worse.
Inez popped in. Inez, does your brother like donuts? I might bring some in this week if he does.
Wow.
I'll bring some in. Get him a nice donut.
Yeah, it's quite the messed up saga of stories. It just is. Once it hits a certain point, you're like, oh, it can't possibly get any more worse or messed up or
Apparently it can.
than this. And then you find out, no, you're wrong. It does get worse. It gets so much worse.
So much worse.
Especially when they go back to the prequels and you learn stuff about.
Oh, there's prequels.
Those
Oh,
prequels.
Yeah, there's
God
prequels.
in heaven.
When you learn stuff about their mother's upbringing
Tracy,
and how
you gotta
she came to be.
You gotta have something light for us, Tracy.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I'm
Sorry.
not getting any lighter, guys.
Oh
I'm
my
so sorry. I mean, maybe a little because there's no incest in it. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna go with 1972's classic Deliverance.
There couldn't be more incest in this movie. What are you talking about?
That's what I was saying.
Obviously,
Oh,
the
man,
Hilljacks are totally incest up.
Yes. The ill-fated canoeing
no, we're making him
in
squeal like a
Georgia.
pig in the photo, Kevin.
trip.
Oh, this is
Squeal,
the
piggy,
Ned Beatty rape scene. Oh my God, Kevin, you went dark. Who hurt you?
Why would you pick that picture?
There's two pictures. There's two pictures.
I'm
Why are you
afraid to
using that?
open the other one.
No, the other one's a good one. The other one's a good one.
Oh, I bet it is.
Good.
Anyway, it's about. It stars John Voight, Burt Reynolds, Ned Beatty, and Ronnie Cox as the four friends.
This
who
was
go
Burt
on
Reynolds' make or break film. This is the one that, that put him on the map.
An ill-fated canoeing trip in the backcountry of Georgia, and they meet the backcountry people in a very bad way. This was actually part of a Burt Reynolds film festival at the New Beverly, and this is how I saw the film for the very first time, and I was absolutely horrified, and I cannot hear a banjo without being brought right back to this movie and reminded of the squeal piggy squeal scene. So yeah, this movie's messed up.
I would say, Jesus, I was raised more Steve Martin banjo than Deliverance banjo. So when I hear a banjo, I have fond memories. But a lot of people, when they hear a banjo, they think of this, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel like
one
it's tempo,
instance
though.
with a musical instrument that's not very popular, and it's just ruined it entirely.
Oh yeah, I mean, you hear that banjo after seeing this movie, you hear that banjo in your sleep. It's this movie just sticks with you.
You know what? I'm gonna come to your place at night, really late, and I'm gonna I'm gonna learn it, and I'm gonna play the banjo outside your window. Just not so you can see me, just off to the side, obviously. So you can't see me, but you can hear it.
Oh, it's so neat.
I know. I mean, this is one of those once-in-a-lifetime movies. Once you see it once, you never have to see it again. I don't know who likes this movie enough to watch it a second time.
Yeah.
There's got to be people, but I don't know why.
I haven't even seen it the first time, and that's fine with me. I'm okay.
Yeah,
I don't need to.
Yeah.
I know enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
My mom recently found out that I haven't seen it, and she was shocked. And I don't know why she was shocked, because it's not my kind of movie. But she was like, "You have? I've seen it.
I can't remember
seen
that.
it." I'm like,
the
why?
author of the story, the original book that this is based off of. I want to say it was Hickey or Dickey or something like that.
Oh, I have it on IMDb. Hold on, let me see.
But that guy did not.
James Dickey.
Dickey, thank you. He was invited on for the filming of it, and he couldn't stand Burt Reynolds. He couldn't stand him. He was like, "It's not who I saw." And this motherfucker is trying to make this film his jumping platform, or his jumping, his springboard into something more. He was like, everybody else is working so well together, and Burt Reynolds is going overboard in every scene. And he's like, it's annoying.
Yeah.
He did not like Burt Reynolds. I remember that.
I mean, he's not even the best part of the movie. I feel like the other three are way better. Probably because they're not going over the top with everything.
Yeah, that could
They're
be.
just being normal.
That could be.
Yeah.
But weirdly enough, this did make Burt Reynolds' career.
It really did.
That and the mustache.
The mustache and
And the mustache.
The
Playground
bearskin
spread.
rug. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bearskin rug. Yeah, Tracy.
Yep. So sorry to
Next
bring
time.
it down.
No,
or
it's
down,
okay.
Up.
Tracy did have a large canvassed backdrop of the bearskin rug with Bert behind her when she first got on, and we had to convince her not to keep it up. So it's not there anymore, but it was. And we tried not to say anything for like the first 10 minutes when we were discussing and talking. But then, the elephant in the room, it had to be mentioned. And it was basically when Kevin popped on, he said, Jesus, what the hell is that? And then we were able to segue into, you got to take it down, Tracy. So it's down, thankfully.
I mean, I don't even think he's good looking. He's no William Shatner.
Ooh.
If you will.
Young Will Shatner.
I'm sure your mom will agree with me.
Probably. Yeah. All right. Kevin, what winner do you have for us now?
Well, interestingly enough, Sean McGee has already mentioned it. And yes, we're going to go deeper into this hell list of movies. One of the most controversial movies ever made, Salo, 120 Days of Sodom, from Pier Paolo Pasolini. This movie is so extreme that the director was assassinated not too long, but right around the time the movie got released.
Wow.
That's how crazy this movie is.
That's pretty crazy.
Yep. It's an Italian film. The director is quite an interesting character. He was known for communist ties to the Italian Communist Party. He was a Marxist. He was very politically active in Italy, especially post World War II, and when the fascist regime of Mussolini was taken down. And he made a lot of movies, hitting different topics, different subject matters. And this one, he decided to adapt the Marquis de Sade, 120 Days of Sodom. And the movie is basically about these corrupt, evil, Italian, very rich libertines, as they like to call themselves. And it's towards the end of World War II in the Republic of Salo in Italy. And they just, for the heck of it, decide to kidnap 18 teenagers. And they subject them to the most extreme torture you can imagine. I mean, it is out of control. Virtually anything you could think of. It is insane.
So they did it to him in real life?
What?
Sodomized him?
No, not in the movie. No.
No? How do you know for sure? Were you there?
Well, it happened in 1975, so no, of course I wasn't there in 1975.
So these people could have actually been sodomized, and you don't even know. You're watching a snuff film, and you have no idea.
No. The Italian film authorities would never allow such a thing.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, Italians,
but the film is meant to be an allegory, as Sean McGeehan mentioned. Yes, indeed. But it's a one-time view. I mean, there's a scene, unfortunately, where they make one of the teenagers eat poop. Yes.
Is it real poop?
I hope not.
Did he look like he smelled it first? Went, oh,
no.
Or did he smell and go, chocolate? Oh, God, no, I can't. Don't feed it to me. Like that? Like, because I have a mold sitting in my living room somewhere, and it's a plastic mold that you melt chocolate into, and it's a turd mold. And it looks like a spiral turd, like dog shit.
Wow.
And I got that for a short film that we were working on. But then I thought it would be hilarious just to do that and put it in people's mailboxes, like chocolate. But then I thought, well, what if the chocolate melted in the heat or something, and then they went to get their mail and they had melted chocolate all over their mail rather than something that looked like shit, and then the whole joke would be stupid. So I didn't do it ultimately. It's not something I did. But I still have the mold, so if anybody wants to borrow it,
But this movie, like I said, it's out there. It's very, very insane. And the director himself, like I said, he was murdered in a very messed up way, very brutally way.
How?
All right, you ready for this?
Cut his tits off.
All right.
Cut his dick off. Shoved it in his mouth, and then stabbed him in the asshole.
All right, basically, I'll break it down to you. He was savagely beaten. He was run over several times with his own car, which broke multiple bones.
How do you know he didn't do any of that himself?
His testicles were crushed by a metal bar.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And here's the worst part. He was partially burned with gasoline. after as well.
So he was probably still barely alive, and then they poured the gasoline on him and lit him on fire.
Well, according to the autopsy, they think he was already dead at that point.
Oh. How would they know, though? I mean, 100%
Well,
accuracy.
Well, the pathologist,
There's something about the way blood coagulates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have ways
Yeah,
to
but if
figure
it's
it out.
burned up,
The way skin and blood react when you're already deceased is different than when you're alive.
when you're burning?
Mhm.
Huh.
If you were being burned alive,
Well,
it reacts differently than if you were already dead.
Well, I guess if the blood had had time to coagulate, I guess it just depends on how long they waited before they lit him on fire. Because if blood takes a little bit to coagulate, it's inside the body at least, once you're dead, it takes longer than it would outside of the body. Because I would imagine with the oxygenation of it, but I digress. Anyway, it would be interesting to. I don't want to say think about, but Jesus. Okay, all right, moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's end this with a nice light film from 2023. I have no choice. I'm just going to throw this one out here, just to end on a high note.
Such a high note.
On the high note, I don't remember any of their names. That's the worst part. So let me pull it up real quick because I'm gonna butcher everybody's name, even though I watched the freaking film.
High School Musical guy.
Yeah,
Remember him?
well, I'm not talking about the
He's not
actors.
the
I know Jeremy Allen
character,
White and
the-
Zac Efron and stuff like that, but I didn't know in Holt McCallany. But I did not. I couldn't remember Kevin, Carrie, David.
David.
Yeah.
Fritz.
And Lance,
father.
which I think they basically cut out of the film.
Yeah.
But he was in there. He's played by what was his name? The guy from ECW. He's the pure, like, he's the new, basically, like, Ravishing Rick Rude type character. I can never remember his name. But anyway, I'm talking about the Iron Claw from 2023. So let me pull up the picture here of the Iron Claw. This is a fun little ditty that Bonnie said, "Hey, you want to go see a movie for New Year's Eve?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go see a movie." And she's like, "You want to go see the Iron Claw? I've been dying to see it." And I said, "Yeah, that sounds excellent. Let's go see the Iron Claw." I had no idea that almost every one of them in the family dies some horrific death.
I didn't realize it was gonna be like
Holy shit.
quite the downer that it was. I mean, I knew that yeah, there was tragedy in the family, but wow. Yeah.
Sabrina says Iron Claw was a good film and a true story. I believe you on the true story part. Not so much on a good film part. Having watched it, I don't think I would ever want to watch it again. I don't think that. Man, like.
You were squirming like the whole.
It's an uncomfortable film for sure, for me anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you did get to go see Hunky Guys, Sabrina. Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White. Jeremy Allen White is actually more ripped now than he was for that filming, which is interesting. I guess he just kept going with it. Zach's pretty much always been ripped, but he got more muscular, and even he worked out his jaw to where it was just so muscular. No, I think he actually fractured it or something and had to have his jaw remade.
Yeah.
Which is why it looks the way it looks. So he looks almost like a cartoon version of himself, which is interesting.
Kind of fucked up the whole bottom half.
But it tells the story of the Von Erichs in the wrestling history. Holt being Fritz Von Erich, the father, the patriarch of the family, that created the finishing move, the Iron Claw, to where he would use it by strapping his hand, the claw, onto the face of his foe, and they cannot escape the Iron Claw to the point where they get taken out and can't
Jesus Christ.
survive it.
The commitment.
So the Iron Claw is it's a very cool move and a very hard move for people to escape. That's the whole point of it. And he wanted to pass that down to his children. Oh, what was it, 4 or 5 of them? I think there was a sister.
In real life, 5.
5, yeah, okay.
In the movie, 4.
4 of them in the film. Right, in the film, 4 of them. I think they were all brothers. There were 5, and
That's
they
all
didn't
right.
mention the one because he wasn't good enough to be mentioned, I guess. Which is, Sabrina. That's why I didn't like it. Like, if you're gonna tell a story, tell the true story. Tell the if you're gonna go this far, tell it. Just tell it. Tell the story. And it's all about the tragedy that befalls upon pretty much every one of the Von Erichs. Who was it? David Von Erich was I want to say he was the one. Was he the Texas tornado, or was that?
No,
That was
that's
Carrie.
Carrie. That's
That was
Carrie.
Carrie. So David Von Erich was the one selected by Fritz to be like the one, the golden child,
Yes.
or whatever.
Golden Child.
And David, unfortunately, I think he was wrestling in Japan, gets injured and has internal bleeding, suffers a hemorrhage, and bleeds out and dies in his hotel room. And then Carrie Von Erich, the Texas tornado, picks up the pieces of where David left off. It was supposed to go to Kevin, but Kevin wasn't very cinematic. He wasn't. He didn't know how to. He didn't have a good ring persona, so it went to Carrie, who did. And
Charismatic. Yeah, he was more charismatic. Yeah.
And he was the Texas Tornado, and he fought and defeated, I believe it was Ric Flair, for the title in
the NWA
honor
title.
of his brother David, and became the world champion. And then Carrie decided that he loved booze and painkillers and went out motorcycle riding and lost part of his leg, and then had to fight, still wrestle in the ring with that missing piece. But he was so much pain, and he was addicted to painkillers, and he was miserable. So he went and he killed himself. And then they gave it to the other son, and I can't remember his name. I want to say Mike.
Yeah.
Was it Mike? Gave it to Mike, and Mike was the
younger.
the young one. Mike was the sensitive guy that you didn't want to put in the ring, but he got in the ring anyway, and he got sepsis. He got injured. He got sepsis, and it effed him up to the point where it basically made him mentally challenged, and he was so frustrated with himself and his life. He also too then committed suicide, and. Yeah, and then so Kevin Von Erich was basically the last brother, because the other brother that they didn't show on screen also died, and so it just left Kevin Von Erich alone. And but he was the one that was like the family man.
I just forgot there was also the baby brother, the toddler that drowned.
Yep.
Yeah, that died.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, a long time before that. Yeah, the baby brother had died and stuff. So there's a lot of death in the Von Erichs. Rule of thumb: don't marry into the Von Erich family. Don't be associated with a Von Erich. If you see one walking down the street, you run the other goddamn way, because they are bad luck. Kevin, in order to break this curse, moved to Hawaii and has a large family and lives a good, healthy life, but he stays away from every other Von Erich. Yeah, and stupidly, his two sons are deciding to wrestle, which I think is dumb as shit. Like, I don't understand why you would do that, but okay. So they're wrestling now.
Family legacy.
And that's where we leave off. I mean, it just tells this depressing-ass story. And it's not anything that anybody wants to watch ever again after they see it one time. I mean, it's at least better than Forrest Gump, because once I saw that, I realized I wanted to, get some type of a procedure to make me forget that I'd ever even seen that film.
I just can't understand your Forrest Gump hate. I can't.
It is a terrible film, Bonnie, and you will never change my mind on that.
Wow.
It is god-awful hot trash.
I wouldn't say god awful.
They're
it's
wrong.
not the best either.
So what they did, you know how they used to drop, during wars, they would drop propaganda, they would drop trading cards of some of the criminals and stuff. During the what was it? It wasn't the Gulf War. It was the after the war in Afghanistan. During the Afghani war, we dropped copies of Forrest Gump on DVD and even VHS over Afghanistan. This is actually how we won, because they all watched it, and while they were shrieking in horror and screaming at each other, how horrible, why did you put this on and stuff, we went in and we were able to overtake Osama and the other bad guys, and that's just how we won. That's how we
Actually,
won out
Osama
over.
was taken out in Pakistan, another country, Afghanistan.
Well, you, sir, that's misinformation. Fake news, sir. Fake news. It was actually Afghanistan, and it was due to the fact of the Forrest Gump videos that were dropped from a plane.
And what DVD players did these Afghans play the movie on?
I said VHS too. You don't listen. So it could be any. It could be RCA. It's probably going to be RCA. I'm going to be honest with you. It sounds like RCA.
RCA.
They sound like an RCA country.
I thought they went out of business like decades ago.
Exactly, Kevin.
Wow.
Probably the
Oh
only
my
Atari
God.
games they had were E.T. Think about that one. But anyway, I digress. That's it. That's all of them. We're not going to go any further. We're not going to torment you guys anymore. All 5 of you that are still left watching, you're troopers. Thank you for that. We're never doing this again. Kevin was very excited and was like, oh, we could do this multiple times. No, we're not going to do this anymore. This is it. This is a one and done. I'm depressed now. I've probably depressed the hell out of most of you, and I'm sorry for that. So here's a little butt. You can spank it if you want.
You know what? The whole time I thought that was the number 1.
No, this is where number 2 comes
Why?
from, Kevin. The butt. That's the butt. The butt. Does it help if I put legs? Let me put legs. Here you go.
Wow.
Here we go.
Wow. Unbelievable.
It's a shorter person. There you go.
Shorter
His feet
person.
down at the bottom. There. The legs
now
don't
it
match
looks
up where the butt crack is.
Now it looks like
A horse.
a cartoon character.
Well, hang on. Now
Cartoon
let me have them. They're bending over. Okay. So there's that. They're arching, and then there's their head. Right.
Oh no.
Oh God. Oh, this.
Yeah, I
is
know.
gonna
I'm
be bad.
scared.
I'm terrified.
And then there's this thing that comes out over it, right, like that. Oh nope, never mind. I made a horse. Okay.
Yeah, you did.
All right, I made a horse instead. Okay.
That's much better.
Yeah, I might as
I
well
feel like
finish
it
it.
was
There you
leading
go.
that direction anyway.
There you go. There's a horse. I drew a horse with a big ass. That's a big ass horse. No doubt. We'll leave on that note, on the big ass horse. Don't worry. Next week's topic's going to be happy. I hope. We're going to be talking all about decapitation. So-
Whoa!
Wait, what? Oh, here we go. Just some real quick comments. Moving on. All 5. One died early as a child. Did they mention the 5th? Moving on to pleasanter topics. I finally saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was great. All right, you can't talk about movies anymore, Sean, and what's great. Let's see. Mr. Sean, I'm not a big Jerry Lewis fan. Sometimes the French are wrong. The French did love Jerry Lewis. I liked him with Dean Martin, and I liked some of his work, but then I thought a lot of it was very self-congratulatory, especially as he got a little older. He got very self-congratulatory. Nezzy says, yep, Donald, I remember learning that in history class. You're right. Sean McGean says, do you want to see the new gods brought into the mix? Geez. Good question when it comes to Darkseid and stuff like that, and Desaad and Desaad or whatever you want to call him. And Wolfgang Puck, right? Wolfenstein 3D. What was his name? Wolf something, right? You know?
Steppenwolf?
That's it. Thank you. Yeah, Magic Carpet Ride. With those guys being introduced, I think it's only fair to see the new gods, but I would think it would be better to do it in a TV series format or an animated series. I think would do better than something like a film version of it. And let's see. Night all says my mom and dad. Good night, guys. And please and thank you, says David. And Cage says good night. Good night, Cage. Sean says we should talk why there needs to be a Zack Snyder's Justice League sequel featuring the new gods. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. But I don't know so much that Zack Snyder. I don't know. I hated Man of Steel so much, so much that I'm offended still
Oh, Batman versus Superman, I thought was worse.
No, I don't think so.
No,
No.
I watched like whatever the director's cut. I didn't like it any better.
Okay, so let me tell you something, Kevin. I desensitized myself. I had gone to see it 3 times in the theater because people I were hanging out with wanted to see that film, and they were paying. So every time I went to go see it with them, I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm not doing anything. So it's my fault. I saw it 3 times in the theater. But I think it kind of desensitized me to the film, so I didn't really care anymore. Whereas The Man of Steel, I only saw once in the theater, and I refused to watch it again. And I was just very upset. Like, how are you going to do Pa Kent like that? No.
Yeah,
You're faster than the speed of light, but don't save me. Don't save me.
Yeah, that was messed up.
What? That's ignorant. That's ignorant,
Now,
lazy writing.
Had Zod broke his neck or something, that would have been one thing.
A different story. Yeah, he flew in with super speed and broke his neck or something. Even then, you don't need to kill Pa Kent. How many times I got to say it? Stop killing Pa Kent. The Kents work best together. They're a family unit. Stop killing them. Good Lord. Yeah, streaming series for the New Gods could be pretty dope, Sean. I agree. So maybe we could see that. I would like to see that. I'd be down for that. I want to say thank you to Bonnie, thank you to Tracy, and of course to Kevin for being on. We are Rumble Pop Live. We thank you very much for sitting through this. And please tell your friends, not about this episode, but about episodes that they'll actually want to watch more after they watch this one. So thank you very much. And if you're feeling thirsty, perhaps you should
have a cold, refreshing, but never disturbing Rumble Pop.
No, I think it was pretty disturbing. This time you spilled the goddamn soda all over your chest, and then it like you shook the can and squirted it all over the audience too while you were at it. I think we're in bad shape here, Kevin. We got to do damage control now. So next week, Kevin, you've got to paint your face.
Nope.